Hello, hi, welcome to this episode
Hi,
of Pass the Cheese. We have a repeat guest, Kate. Welcome. Hi.
thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. We had a last minute cancellation, and if this is a peek behind the curtain for anybody, I tried to bank a bunch of episodes and I ran out of those episodes. And so the last couple weeks, I've basically been like recording and then immediately releasing. So, we had some life stuff that happened. So thanks to Kate for jumping in real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm always down to talk and
Hello.
whine about things.
Talk about cheese that you don't like.
Yeah, although like I think I said in the last episode, possibly, or I just told you, you know, through a text, I kind of think I might like cheese now.
I mean,
Yeah, I had this like impossible cheddar or something, or unexpected cheddar.
mhm.
Not gonna say where it's from. But, yeah, once I had that, I was like, "Oh, cheese is good."
I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm the reason that you like cheese now, but
You definitely, you definitely have opened my eyes to bigger cheese picture.
You're very welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's get into one of our topics because we kind of pre-talked about something we want to whine about. And this also like it kind of gets into something else that we were talking about. Just like getting older and the weird things that happen, and if you don't do something like a specific way. So last night, I I just didn't want to like refill my humidifier. Like I was just getting ready for bed. I had done everything that we have our whole routines of getting ready for bed. And it was like last thing, getting ready for bed. And then I looked at it and I was like, I have to refill that. And I was like, you know what? It'll be fine. I slept terribly, woke up this morning with a huge headache, and I just felt so uncomfortable. And like I had plenty of water the day before, like eaten vegetables, like didn't drink any, like there was no real reason to feel that way. And I was like, is this who I am now? like,
No, I mean, you spend what, like 6, 7, 8 hours? 4, 5, I don't know, depending on how long you sleep, but you spend a lot of hours just, like, sleeping and air pumping through you, and yeah, it affects you. I fell asleep with my window open the other night and, like, yeah, I my throat was sore and I was like, "What?"
I feel like, in your 20s and younger, you could like, yeah, sleep in these crazy contorted positions. You never drink any water, like just all this stuff. And I didn't turn on a stupid machine that turns water into mist and I felt terrible. So,
Well, lesson learned.
you know.
I remember back in the day, we were together actually on that trip, and, yeah, I fell asleep with my leg in a open pizza box. So, back then we could sleep through
Yeah.
almost anything. Now it's like I hear a bird chirp, I'm like, "Oh, what was that?"
I don't know, like get my special pillow.
Yeah.
Um, I started watching this new reality show called Are You the One? And
Ooh.
I've been having trouble starting new shows because just like everything, my anxiety is so high. And even like shows that I love, new seasons, like if I don't know what's going to happen, like just sometimes it's just kind of too much. So rewatching has been key, and then also just like bad reality shows. So
Yes.
I was watching the
To touch on that, I had the same thought, like, last night that when I'm starting to feel like out of control or anxious and like I don't know what it's from, um, I like to revert back to watching like old things that are maybe either predictable or that bring me that nostalgic feeling.
more
I
comfortable.
also wrote down that I everyone's always like, "Kate, why do you watch horror movies like nonstop? Like you fall asleep to them."
Yeah.
And I had this like revelation that it's sort of with there's just so much in the world that I'm a little scared of and hate to admit that I'm afraid. So I think I watch horror just to like channel that feeling into something manageable.
Normally I am like that with true crime, but for the last couple of months, just like everything has been too much. So I haven't been able to like intake that. But I
Yeah.
was thinking about, so I was watching this reality show. Highly recommend if anyone is just looking for something mindless.
What's it about? I'm like so pumped. I already love the sound of it.
So I binged the first season in 2 days, if that tells you anything about my life right now. And I was starting the second season and I watched the first episode and I was like, I need to sit with these other people first before I just do this right away. Um, so the first season, there's 20 people, 10 guys, 10 girls, and each of these people have a match. And if they can figure out who the perfect matches are within 10 tries, they each split $1 million.
I
Um,
heard about this.
they have something called like a truth booth where the person goes like, they're like, okay, these people are attracted to each other, like we're going to send you into the truth booth, see if you're the perfect match, like kind of thing. So I was thinking about it because I like, they're all kind of like, oh, I'm a college student, or oh, I'm this, and I'm terrible at love, and I'm like, and I know like when you're that age, everything just feels so big and you're like, oh, I'm just so bad at this. But as we're in our 30s and we are like farther away from that, you're like, you're okay. Like you don't need to worry about that. Like you got time. But then I was thinking, I was like, dating shows in your 30s would be so boring because
Yeah, we should make one.
like you need humidifiers. You need to take your melatonin before you go to bed. Excuse me. Piece of cracker just shot down my throat.
Have some wine, man.
I'll have some water. I'll have some water. Just like all these, like we have all these special routines that you just like get into when you're in your 30s. And so it just
Yeah.
so boring.
Oh my gosh. Like my perfect date on a reality show would be like walk around, eat, and then just like lay down. And that's it.
Yeah.
Call it a day.
I want to say my perfect date would be April 25th because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Love it. Yeah.
That's from Miss Congeniality.
Oh man, I gotta watch that movie. Yeah, like watching old movies and just that nostalgia. I think nostalgia is one of the best feelings there is. There's
I
something
mean,
about it.
also for like our generation, millennials, like everyone just talks about nostalgia all the time. And, it's very easy to, make fun of that and, look at that in this light. But it's also very interesting if you think about it pretty critically, because we are the first generation, excuse me, we're the last generation that grew up with minimal technology and
Yep.
grew up going outside every single day because you really had no other options. It wasn't like you're there outside or you're playing on your video game. And as we got older, this came into that came into fruition and came into the general population. I don't know, I'm struggling with words right now.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, and
awesome.
so
You're living in the coolest time. I mean, I know it's wild, but like, how lucky are we to experience such a technological advancement for humans? It's
it's
like,
it's very like awe-inspiring in a lot of ways, sometimes good and sometimes bad.
yeah, like everything.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
um yeah, so I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about dating shows in your 30s. Just like these people.
So, how do they know if it's their perfect match, though? Is that decided ahead of time or?
So they go into that truth booth, and that's like the only thing that can tell you like this is your perfect match. So two people, they like win competitions and then they like vote on who gets to go into the truth booth kind of thing. And so, there are some people that are like, so in this season, a little bit of a spoiler alert, these people the first night fall in love and they're like, we're each other's matches, no question. And they're attached at the hip immediately. And
Mhm.
so they're the first couple. People are like, okay, these people seem to like each other. Like, okay, let's figure this out. And they go into the truth booth, and again, spoiler, they're not a perfect match. And so the whole season, they just have to like people are trying to be like, oh, you know that this person is not your match anymore. Like you need to move on. And they're like, I refuse. I refuse to move on. This person I love. And it just they become like all wrapped up into it. And I get it because like they're not hanging out with their family and they don't have their phones and they're just like shoving alcohol in their mouths. But
Yeah.
like to look at it from an out, like to step back, you're like, you do not love this person. Like you've known them for 2 weeks.
What was that other show? Oh, Love is Blind. Did you
Mm.
watch that? The like
Mm-mm.
they're in pods and they can't see each other until they propose.
I
They
heard about it, but I didn't watch
propose.
it.
It's like a day. Some proposed after like 24 hours. I mean, I think you're right. I think if they cut off all contact from the outside world, it's just wild.
Yeah.
But it's amazing because our grandparents' generation, and well, I'll say this: our grandparents' generation and maybe our parents, they dated for what, like sometimes a month or 2 months, and
Mhm.
boom, married,
Yeah.
and they
And
stayed
marriages
a lot, stayed together. And I
marriages
know
were younger.
in different countries and different cultures too, arranged marriages. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm still single.
Yeah, it is kind of wild of how different times, like just how it's different for everybody. And we all have different varying levels of success. And who's to say what's the best?
Well, what defines success?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing, because a lot of people talk about like, oh, you get married. But what if you don't want to get married? Like, what if that's not something that you're looking for? You know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't grow up with that like princess. One day I'll meet my match prince or princess and like have this fairy tale wedding. Like I never had a dream like that. And I know a lot of my friends who are married did have that dream.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting. I think part of it is, some people genuinely want that. If that's what you want, that's great, and if you get that, even better. But I think also like we're told that that's what you're supposed to want. And just kind of like people say like, oh, you have to go to college, like you have to go to college to get a good job and then you'll be happy and then ABC comes after and that's how you're successful. And college doesn't work for every single person.
And college is kind of going out of style, I heard.
I
And
mean, I think that we need to stop worrying about that so much.
it's so expensive. People are realizing they're not getting the returns on their investment,
Hmm.
and they're in debt for life.
I know.
Um, yeah, luckily I just went to a state school and I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is like um, you can attend any school you want now because almost everything's virtual at
Right,
this.
right.
So my question is like, what is the college experience even like now? I would be so curious to talk to a college student who like lives on campus.
I
Um,
know. Because some colleges, like you still are, you're living in dorms, but you're attending school virtually. And
yeah, like how do you party?
yeah, I saw a video of some girl who is like, oh, this is some prank that you can do. She's like, go into your dorm room and yell, the name that we all know for those little machines that everybody has that you say the name and then you can be like, oh, set a timer or put this on, whatever, or play this song. And so, this person goes out into the hallway and says the name. I'm not gonna give them any advertising. Um,
What is the
but
first
so
letter? Because I feel like I need to know.
it's the one that starts with A.
Got it.
Yeah. So this person goes into the hallway and says the name and says, "Play this song," and then there's like three ones that you can hear playing it.
I want to try
It's
that
just
here.
what's up?
I want to try that here in my apartment.
I mean, you probably could, but it was also like, wow. I remember when I was in college for the first couple months, weeks, like our doors were just always open, and yeah, and so it just kind of makes you think of just how wild and different everything is now. And
Yeah.
who could have ever known that this was going to happen?
That's the thing, man. Like, we don't know the future.
Mm-mm.
Exciting and scary.
Mm-hmm.
I I try to choose to lean into exciting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because look how far we've come. Speaking of reality TV shows, I've been watching like YouTube videos of people commenting on America's Next Top Model
Mm-hmm.
and just playing clips of, there was one clip of this model who was very uncomfortable by other models, like male models specifically, um, being inappropriate, or
Mm-hmm.
she felt like it was too much. And she said stop at least two times, maybe three, was visibly uncomfortable, yet the photographer and just everybody behind the camera was just like, you feel uncomfortable but just push through it, like this is what modeling is. And now that is such an obvious, like, wow, what a boundary. So
Yeah.
it's really kind of beautiful that it was hard to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it took a lot, but we are in a better place,
Yeah.
as far as consent and comfortability, and
Boundaries.
boundaries. Exactly. But that, what was that, 10, 15 years ago?
Right. Well, I was just watching. There's this Instagram account that I follow, and I think it's Embracing Black Culture, and it's something that I've been following, to just integrate myself in this, and also like hopefully people who are Black can reference these things and not have to like explain it, because so many white people, like I just made a miscongeniality reference, and like not everyone has maybe seen it, but I just assumed that everybody had, and so trying to like to learn about maybe experiences that I did not have, or at least be aware of. And so um it it did a Kiki Palmer, like it had like 10 videos of Kiki Palmer just showing who she is and stuff that she's done. And she was on the Wendy Williams show, and I can't quite remember like the specifics around like what they were discussing and everything, but I'm pretty sure they were referencing an instance where Kiki was filming a Trey Songz music video, and she felt sexually pressured, or like was put into like a sexually intimidating situation. I don't quite remember the verbiage that they had used. And I guess Wendy had brought it up on her show without Kiki being there, and said some stuff. And so Kiki was like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, you obviously felt the need to talk about it when I wasn't here. I'm here now. Let's talk about it. And Wendy was saying these things of like, well, at least like, they asked you to be there, or they asked you to be in this music video, like at least you got this. And Kiki was like, that's, well, first of all, like, no, not at least. And also the point is not like, the point is, yes, I agreed to be there, but I did not agree to that situation,
Right.
and it was just this really interesting, someone is like, well, like, you should be grateful because like you were asked to be there and you were asked to be in this music video. And Kiki was like, no, like that's not how it should be, because that's how those situations can arise for people.
Right. Yeah. I think that's so toxic, when people say, oh, you should feel lucky you even have this opportunity, or you should feel lucky that your salary is this number, or you should feel lucky that you this, that, or the other thing. It's
Right.
like, well, I don't have a response, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, but like,
you feel lucky. You feel how you feel.
right. And yeah, it's I mean, it's, we try
Getting
to, what?
I'm feeling some heat in the heart.
um, yeah, and I was also just kind of thinking like, I'm trying to keep things light because I want this to be a distraction. But, sometimes you get into topics that are, but I guess the reality is like anyone at any point can say no, and you need to listen to that. And
Yeah.
yeah, there are definitely a lot of movies and things like, I mean, even I just brought up Miss Congeniality. They joke about eating disorders all the time, and that's not really cool, but we were younger and we saw this, and yeah, and that movie is not that old, by comparison about some things. And I think it's okay to be critical of that kind of stuff. And you know
It
but
makes me wonder, referring to that, but also referring to when I was watching the America's Next Top Model commentary, like I remember watching these episodes, but I don't remember feeling like I feel like I was on the side of the people who were like, "Oh, just keep going, it's part of the modeling process." Like I can't say exactly how I felt, but I don't remember back then anything being wrong.
right.
So part of me wonders like, wow, like that's like a learned behavior or it's ingrained.
Right.
And now we have all this unlearning that I think has started,
Hmm.
for sure. Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, like there are things that I've said and done in the past because yeah, similar of like, well, you have this great opportunity, or like, if you don't do it, like the next person will, but that's also like, that's totally an abusive situation, and that's absolutely not the right thinking. But we're like, the media and pop culture and society was putting out that message.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, boy. You got to break that down because I feel like it was you. It was either you or someone else close to me who just said, know your worth. Was that you? I wrote it down on a piece. I stuck it on a post-it note on my bathroom mirror. And every time I have like a positive thought, I just put on a post-it because I
mhm,
need
mhm.
those reminders.
Yeah, we really do. And yeah, I mean, we all kind of, I don't like, I have a couple things that are bouncing around in my head, and without, too much, like, I a year ago realized that I for over 10 years was punishing myself for a breakup that happened when I was like 17, 18 years old. And so I for, 12, 13 years had told myself, you're not good enough, you don't deserve this, like, kind of thing, because of the way that I had handled something when I was 18, and I hate to use the excuse of like, oh, you're 18, like, blah, 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 but that is still a very young person. Yes, they are technically an adult, but you are still growing and developing as who you are, and so it has not, it hasn't been until really the last year that I've reckoned with this, the way that I acted, and like, the ways that I treated certain people, and I'm 30 now. I'm almost 31. Like, this is still happening. And yeah, I mean, know your worth. Like, there is a reason, like, you are a great person. Don't ever let anyone doubt that. And I guess if you need reminders, like, come to me. I don't know. Sometimes
Well,
I feel like I have
right.
to have.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you ever need reminders, just like call a friend. Um, there's like Instagram now. You can follow different accounts.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think that would be our world would truly benefit
Mhm.
from, you know, having a positive internal voice. Um,
It's hard to get there. I'm not going to say that it's
oh
easy,
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I love how I'm saying this, but half the time, that's why I have all the post-it notes because my
Right.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's kind of end this on a positive note where I
yeah,
compliment the guest, and I compliment you. And yeah, I mean, you are somebody that I can always turn to, no matter how my day is, good, bad, everything in between. And it just gets that much better, and it, especially now in these isolating times, you know, um, we're looking for other ways to like to fill cups. And whenever I talk to you, no matter what way it is, because we dabble with all of the ways, um, my cup is always filled after I talk to you. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. Mine too.
Hmm.
I'm really grateful for you. Uh, I mean, we've been really close since we met,
Mhm.
but this past year has just been like exponentially increasing
Mhm.
of just our connection. And I just think you're brilliant and loving
Thank you.
and open-minded,
Thanks.
and that's really someone I want to be around. So
Thanks.
I love talking to you, and you're the best.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I echo all of those statements to you, Um, yeah, and I think it's important, and it's definitely something I've learned as I've gotten older. People make you feel a certain way, and you have to pay attention to that, and it's not like their words and their actions necessarily. I mean, definitely take that into account, but also the way they make you feel. And if every time you are spending time with someone and in that moment you feel bad, or after you feel really negative, pay
Mm.
attention to that, because like it's very easy to remove that from your life, and right now we don't really need any extra stressors, and hopefully people will respect the boundaries, like if it's somebody in your friend group and you're like, hey, like I just don't feel comfortable with this person anymore, whatever, like hopefully people will respect that, because I think also, I don't know, I'm trying to tell people how to live their life, but
Wow. I mean, what you're saying is making sense and actually, yeah, yeah.
like I remember in college, I just could kind of mention to somebody, like I was like, oh, like I don't think this person and I just don't really think our personalities like get along.
Hmm.
And I said it to somebody I thought was my friend who also happened to be friends with this person. And then I was like with that friend again, or I was with the person I told and like another person who was also friends with this person. And they're like, oh, I heard you didn't like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, like it was like, no, I didn't say that. I can understand how you heard that, but that isn't the words that I said. And then also like, how am I supposed to like handle this situation? Because like anything you say, it's just gonna be like, oh, you're defensive or you're lying or whatever. And it was just like, it was one of those moments that I was like, okay, like people don't communicate the same way, that I do, and that's something that I have to take into account. And, maybe also sometimes I have to keep like something to myself of like, maybe I don't get along with this person and maybe that's okay. And maybe I just like keep it with me.
Yeah. You know what? Hearing that reminds me that I do this too. I think it's maybe like just a human um defense mechanism, but or I don't know.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like people interpret what
Yep.
they want to hear
Yeah.
rather than what they hear.
Mhm.
I know I do it,
Mhm.
and it sucks. And I'm going to start working on that.
Yeah. Language is really important. I think especially we learned everything in this last year is important. But, I remember like I was in some kind of class and they were talking about, how words are important and, what you're saying is different to, different people. And, I just think of the example if I say the word like, oh, think of an apple. The apple that you think about is different than the apple I think about. And
Yeah.
it's going to look different. It's going to taste different. It's going to smell different. I mean, even if I say the word dog, if I say the word cat, like it's the same word, but it means different things to so many people. Yeah. Um, you know,
Yeah, language is so important and also so interesting.
hmm
Um, your life really informs your experience really informs what words mean to you. Like, for example, when you said apple, I thought of my favorite apple,
Mhm.
um, which is a Sun Crisp, I think it's called.
Okay.
Um, yeah. What apple did you think of?
Well, honestly, like it kind of depends, because sometimes I think of the standard classic. Like I think a lot of people, what I like, I don't know, but like Red Delicious, I feel like is a standard classic staple apple. But for a really long time, Granny Smith was my favored apple because I really like
Mine
things that
too.
are. What's up?
Mine too.
Yeah, it's
I would
really
eat them
smart.
every night when I was a kid. I'd read a Roald Dahl book and have cut up green apple, and have my reading lamp. That was like my favorite thing in the world.
I can relate to a lot of what you said. Roald Dahl was one of my favorite authors growing up. Um, but Granny Smith is great. But now my favorite is a pink lady apple. But like sometimes you want some other apples, and
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. It's just language is important. I guess is the moral of that story, and
Is.
also
Changing fast.
yes.
Like, I talked to my cousins who are one's in junior year of high school and one's freshman in college, and for the past like 5 years, I have to ask them to explain all these words they're using, and I'm like, cool, that didn't mean that.
Yeah.
In my day, wait,
um,
I thought I was 18. I'm not? Oh,
I used to. I worked with this girl at one of my jobs who was 18, and so anytime anything happened, I'd be like, "What does that mean? What is this?" And there are
yeah.
still some times that I'll like text her and I'm like, "Hey, can you explain this to me?"
Oh my gosh. I wish I could. I'll tell you later, but like, I remember I asked my cousin what something meant and she just lost it. She thought it was so funny. I can't remember it offhand. I don't want to um, look at my phone right now. I'm too busy holding this bear.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Good for
I'm
you.
actually gripping it, giving it a even though like this is a very chill conversation, it's just I need this little bear.
Yeah, that's okay. Sometimes we just all need something to ground us and something to hold on to, and that's okay. Well, we are kind of at the end of the time. Is there anything you want to bring awareness to, or anything you want to promote?
Yes, I wanted to just if anyone was noticing my earrings by any chance, they're made by a friend of mine named Naomi, and you can shop at her store. It's called goldthreadsco.nyc. And you can find
Okay.
her on Instagram too. And she's amazing. Check it out.
Yeah, you said it was Black owned, and she's a single mom.
Yes, yes, yes.
We love supporting all that stuff.
And she is one of the coolest people I know.
Okay. I
Yeah.
mean, if they're friends with you, they're a pretty good person.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah. Make sure to send it to me and I'll put it in. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us
And
today. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the last minuteness of it. I
oh,
think
anytime. I could talk to a tree if they would have me. So
it's very
yeah,
cool.
thank you for having me.
Of course.
Uh,
Bye.
Mwah.